Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 18 of the E53 ANZCAR Cup here at the Charlotte Roval. Tonight, joining me for the first time is our new commentator, Jonathan Hancock. How are you going, Johnny?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you very much, and welcome to the Performers e-streaming booth.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. So we are jumping straight into qualifying tonight, and it looks like it's going to be a bit of an intense race night. I'm just actually watching Matt Danson myself quickly. Probably the favourite for tonight, I must say. He's usually pretty good on the old road courses, and is often a hard guy to beat. But Jason Martin's going to be looking for that victory over him tonight to try and seal his place into the chase, of course, because this is the last race before the chase starts in 2 weeks' time. And currently, Matt Danson will be leading after all the drop rounds. It's been a pretty intense year.
Yeah, wow. Who's your pick to take out a pole tonight here?
Well, it's hard not to bet on Danson. He's very fast. He's always quick. There are some other fast runners tonight, with people like Bruce Smith coming in tonight, as well as Ryan Shelton out there. It's going to be a close one, I think. But I must admit, I think Danson may have it. Now, of course, we have got a slightly altered track this year for the Charlotte Roval. Of course, with a new, slightly changed layout for the first set of chicanes on the oval section, which it's a tricky section to say the least. Just in the intro package, we would have seen it there. Turns 12 and 13. And it's a little bit more open now to hopefully let people get some overtaking in. So, obviously, Johnny, you've got some experience racing this track from prior years. What's your experiences out here?
Well, obviously, I'm not a road course. I don't like my road courses, but this track is similarly set up to the Daytona track, so it's an opportunity into that last chicane to outbrake someone. And now with the widen exit, if you get a better run out of it, I believe that you could probably get up on the high side, maybe outrun someone.
It's going to give people opportunity, and that's it. It's a heavy braking area, and it's a little bit tighter as we go into the first corner, and that might just make it so people can get the run. Of course, the oval section is where you want to try and make the pass. It's probably the safest spot to pass. But these tracks really throw you out, especially when you aren't used to racing on ovals, because it's just such a different feel for a track, even compared to some of the normal road courses. There's not much grip out there tonight, and that's something I know a few guys have been complaining about. As
Yeah,
Ryan Shelton just gets into second place there. We've got Matt Danson, Ryan Shelton, and Mitchell McLeod at the moment as our top three.
definitely. Yeah, not much traction out there tonight, so that'll be something to look into in the first couple laps if the guys can handle the rear of the cars while they warm up the tyres there.
Yeah, and that's always a big challenge for these cars. Of course, no tyre warmers in NASCAR racing, and generally American racing in general. They're not fond of the old tyre warmers, and it does make it quite hard to get the traction down. As Braden Boulis just sets a blistering lap time and gets pole position by 3/10.
Yeah, wow. That was unexpected.
Yeah, it's a bit unexpected, but Braden is very fast on these tracks. It's himself, Danson, and Shelton are very good at these tracks. Of course, Matt Danson and Boulis are part of Silton Crowder Racing, of course. So they tend to work well together, and those two at the front, it means I reckon we should be in for one heck of a race, I think.
Yeah,
The
they're
guy that
probably running similar setups, so they should be running close throughout the race. Sorry, Carl,
Oh,
continue.
no, that's okay. Yeah, so sort of the little tweaks and bits like that are what makes it, of course. And they tend to be pretty much on it. Jason Martin sitting down uh, in fifth place at the moment, so not too bad for him. Jason's been working a lot on his road courses this year, and he's not been doing too badly. but I'm pretty sure he'd be the first to admit that he's not quite the specialist that he'd want to be tonight. So what I might do is just quickly run through some of the championship while we've got a couple of minutes of qualifying left. And we just might run through the standings. So in first place, we have Matt Danson, and these are after the drop round. So Matt Danson is currently leading the championship by 528 points. In second place, we have Jason Martin with 511. Third place, Josh Mickelmore. Fourth place, Michael Skurlock. Fifth place, Matthew Cluett. Sixth place, Ed Foster. Seventh, Danny G. Dave Douglas in eighth. Purnell in ninth. 10th for Stephen Williams. Mirko Dortnack is 11th. 12th is Riley Curtis. 13th is Norman Clark. Roger Clark is 14th. And Joshua Carroll Walden is just sitting out there with 311 points, just outside of the chase, I think. So it's going to be pretty close tonight, and these guys are really going to want to get those try and get themselves locked into the chase round. So it should be interesting tonight for seeing who gets in the championship. But qualifying has wrapped up, I believe. We're pretty much over, so we'll be heading to our race session. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong counter there.
They might be trying to get out there and do their last runs at the moment, but looks like a lot of them are just happy with what they've got so far. So maybe they're just doing their last changes to their race setups at the moment, changing around fuel levels, etc.
Yes, and the last few people clambering to get in there at the moment. Let's see who's out track. And it is this sort of, this race can have a lot of sort of changes in the chase as it comes up, because obviously everybody's going to be desperately trying to scramble into the championship chase, which will be starting at Talladega, of course, and that's going to be a real challenge for a lot of people, because obviously Talladega is always a bit of a lottery.
Yes, Talladega nights, eh?
Yes, it's a few people could be really looking forward to this one. There's a few outsiders that could possibly get set into the position.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the ovals and the restricted plate races compared to these road courses and the Glen, etc. So I'd rather run ovals all day compared to this stuff.
Yes, I must admit, these cars, they're not the best things to race around a road course. They are pretty tricky to get out there. Just got Dwayne Priest just trying to set that last time at the moment as he comes up to the checkered flag. Oh, makes a big mistake coming through the final chicane and into the wall, and that's going to wipe out his time. A big mistake for Dwayne Priest there. He's going to be kicking himself for that one. That is all she wrote tonight. So
you want to run through the top three there, Kyle?
Yeah, so we have Braden Boulos in first, with Matt Danson second and Ryan Shelton in third. Not too much of a surprise with those top three. Michael Skurlock down in fifth, with Mitchell McLeod getting a fantastic session in fourth place. Jason Martin fifth, Riley Curtis sixth. Seventh is Joshua Carroll Walden. Eighth is Bruce Smith. Ninth we have Matthew Cluett. 10th, Edward Foster. 11th, Mirko Dortnack. 12th, Darren McKenzie. 13th, Dave Douglas. 14th, Wayne Taylor. 15th, Aaron Wilton. 16th, Matthew Raymond. 17th, Stephen Williams. Michael Latter is in 18th. 19th, Tristan Koch with the last time. So we'll go and head to our race room, and we'll have a look at the highlights package for the last race out at Indianapolis. For round 17 of the championship, we headed to Indianapolis, the famous Brickyard, and it was going to be a tough race for some. Jason Martin managed to pop it on pole, with Hamish Gallagher snagging a fantastic second place. Michael Skurlock in third. The start went off pretty well for everybody. However, when Indianapolis bites, it can really hurt. On lap 2 of the race, Michael Skurlock made a move for the lead, but smashed into a fellow competitor. We had a huge wreck on the front straight, taking many cars out of the competition, proving that Indianapolis can indeed bite, and that narrow front straight really can bite you when it crash hard here. Almost half the field were taken out, many cars limping through the rest of the night. The damage was quite severe to many, and this brought our first round of pit stops. Jason Martin managed to stay in the lead, but climbing the field and avoiding the havoc was Matt Danson and Ryan Shelton. We were back under green for lap 5, however the green flag status would not last all that long. Damon Stockton being involved in that latter incident, we were back under green once more and the race was about to begin. Ryan Shelton getting a fantastic lead ahead of Wayne Taylor. But it was not long until Jason Martin started to climb back up, with Josh Micklemore and Matt Danson close to him. Battle for the lead heated up on lap number 14 as season rivals Danson and Martin started their battle. As Danson made his way past, Jason Martin was trying his best not to give up the position, his teammate Josh Micklemore sitting right behind him. We were treated to a fantastic drive by the two, fighting for the lead. Matt Danson and Jason Martin both trying their best to get another win this season. Ryan Shelton was the first of the front runners to come in for new tyres, and the green flag pit stops started. Shelton's fresh tyres were obviously much faster. Danson and Jason Martin both staying out a little bit longer, allowing Shelton to get the undercut. Matt Danson making a rare mistake as he comes in for his pit stop, just having to reverse in the box, costing him a couple of seconds. And left Jason Martin in the lead, with Micklemore behind him and Bentz in third. While Martin came in for some fresh tyres, but it looks like the undercut had worked well for Shelton and Danson. Danson regaining the lead from Shelton a little earlier in the lap. Finally, Vence came in for his pit stop, hoping for maybe a late caution to give him a chance. Danson managed to maintain a good gap over Martin, but there was still going to be a second round of pit stops to go. Once again, Shelton was the first to pit, coming into front for some fresh tyres and hoping once again to get a little bit of position from that undercut. A big moment for the 222 as he went into the wall. But luckily the green flags stayed out. Martin coming in for his green flag pit stop. The race was now on for the lead of this race. However, after the pit stops and started sorting them out, things looked a little bit better. The Triple O's night went from bad to worse, however, as he spun into the top fence and went down into the wall, luckily getting in the pit lane before a caution could be called. Jason Martin's undercut seemed to have worked, but Matt Danson had fresher tyres and he could get his position back on Martin. Again, a fantastic battle between these two titans of the championship. On the final lap, Danson had a clear lead, with Hamish Gallagher in third place. Jason Martin having to resign himself to the second place position. Starting from the back, Matt Danson again just showing a masterclass of oval racing. A great performance for him. And it will be exciting to see how this goes once the chase starts next week. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry, we had a brief technical gremlin there, unfortunately. Just had to do a quick restart of the stream, but you have missed nothing. We are just in the warm-up before the race, and Yes, it should be a good one. We've got three very quick road course drivers at the front tonight. Well, I say three, but really we have about four or five up there. You know, the three front runners are going to be fast, but you can't count out people like Michael Scark. He's very quick on a road course. He's very good. There are people like Edward Foster as well. He's qualified a little bit further down the grid, but he's usually pretty good on these road courses. So I reckon we should be in for a good race tonight.
Who's your pick for a good mid-pack contender?
Mid-pack contender at the moment, I would say probably Bruce Smith is my going to be my pick because he's a little bit further down. He's a little bit out of position, and he's usually very quick. So we could be into some good racing from him. Dave Douglas, of course, is constantly in the top 10. It's very hard to get Dave out of the top 10. He's almost like a tick. He just infests his way into the top 10. But he's very good at those finishing positions, and you can never count him out from getting a good finish. We've also got people in there who could be some surprises. Joshua Carroll Walden's been on very good form this season. So, yeah, we should some interesting ones. There's going to be some good drivers out there, and it's going to be a bit of a busy mid-pack.
Yeah, I've been watching the practice here, and a lot of the drivers are having a bit of trouble with the big ripple strips in like the big what is the term from inside of the ripple strips? The big
Now I've forgotten. Yeah, the inside curbs basically. They
the
are
big blue bits.
yes,
They're hitting them and damaging their cars and
the
tire
sausage curb.
degradation. Yeah, sausage curb. There you go. Had a moment there. I apologise.
That's right. Senior moments. We're allowed. At least I am. So that's all good. So we're going to get lining up here, ready for the race. So everybody's going to get into their position. So we will just run through the grid for you now. So on pole position, Brendan Boulis. Fantastic job for him. Next to him is Matt Danson. In second place, we have Ryan Shelton with Michael Scullock in fourth. Fifth, Jason Martin with Riley Curtis. Sixth, great positioning for Riley Curtis. Joshua Carroll Walden in seventh with Bruce Smith in eighth. Ninth, we have Matthew Cluett with Edward Foster in 10th. 11th is Mirko Dortnack with Darren McKenzie in 12th. 13th, we have Dave Douglas with Wayne Taylor lining up to next to him in 14th place. Aaron Wilton starting in 15th with Matthew Raymond in 16th. And a bit of a shout out for Aaron Wilton. Thank you so much for the help last time out. Stephen Williams in 17th with Michael Lasher in 18th. 19th, we have Tristan Koch with Jake Mulaney next to him in 20th. Ashley Lear 21st with Nathan Tragaffin in 22nd. 23rd is Josh Micklemore, a very low starting position for him, so expect to see him climbing through the field, with Dwayne Priest in 24th place, finishing out the order. So, yeah, we should be in for a good one tonight. We've a couple of people have dropped out from qualifying. They've not sort of come through to the race, unfortunately, but sometimes it is the way. But with Braden Boulis on pole and Matt Danson in second, it should be a pretty electric start from those two. People are going to want to try and make a break at the start. One of the big things here, of course, is that final chicane, turns 16, 17 and 18. When you're coming up, forming the pack, getting ready to go green there, a bit lower down the pack order, you can get caught out.
Yeah. And that was quite a unique way they started there, all pulled up on the straight sideways. And there was actually a driver I saw loop it trying to pull out on those cold tyres, so that will play a big factor at the start. So cold tyres and then being on the road course, the tyres will run away on them very quick, so there'll be probably some early pit stops you'll see. And undercut is very big here, 3 seconds a lap.
Yes, we're expecting people to have around about 30-ish laps on fuel, about 25 to 30 laps on fuel. But we're expecting people to probably pit around about lap 20, 20 to 22, try and cut the race in half. Of course, with no cautions on these road courses, that throws out some of the strategy game. But we are getting up, ready. We're going to be coming through the final chicane very shortly. And we will be going to green flag racing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how that's going to work for him.
I don't know if that will ping him up for a penalty or anything. I thought that's part of my lack of iRacing knowledge is the penalty ping system. I think everything should be okay. But the pace car will be coming in very shortly. And we'll go to green flag racing.
Pace car's pulled away.
And boogity, 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 we are green and going racing. And Braden Billis gets a brilliant start. And as expected, the midfield just get packed up in that chicane. Everybody gets through safely. It looks like everybody's managed to pick their way through there. Josh Mickelmore making a couple of places up at the start already, but Brandon Bolus has just pulled away from Matt Danson.
Yeah, he's pulled quite a big gap already, considering they've only been through a few corners.
Yeah, so he got a decent jump at the start, so he did manage to just pull a little bit away at the start, caught Danson napping, which is not an easy thing to do. Danson's usually pretty on it, but he's just caught Danson napping and has just managed to pull away a little bit. Of course, one of the things you've got to be careful of now is not putting too much stress through these tyres, because obviously the tyres will start wearing a bit, going away from you, and if you push too hard too early, you can cause yourself some trouble.
Yeah, I've been there where you go and you get a bit of a gap at the start, so you push harder and harder to make that gap bigger, and then you got no tyres, and you lose that gap because you have to go pit.
Yes, and that's sometimes where controlling the race can be a bonus. Bulis experienced head on young shoulders, but with Matt Danson behind him, he's got to be careful because Danson is very good at looking after those tyres. And Jason Martin's just sitting back there in fifth still and just holding on to this group at the moment. Not had too many laps, but he's just keeping pace at this time. So he's just going to want to try and keep pace and just keep there if there's any mistakes made.
Well, we got a first lap clean, so that's good.
Yes, looks like everybody's made it through clean, and that is always a good start, which we did have a clean first lap last time out at Indianapolis. Unfortunately, the second lap was not so much, and you get a similar effect here at the Roval on that first corner, because there is such a tight section as you go into that first turn. You sort of get bottled up a little bit, and the walls are so close to you, you make a mistake going through there. Because of that little lift, it's very easy to spin the car, and you can get a very big wreck very quickly in that section. So hopefully we won't see anything like that tonight, but everybody's running clean at the moment, and pretty much running in a line. So we'll be settling in for a few laps, I think, as Braden Bulis is just absolutely romping away at the front.
Yeah, he's pulled a pretty big gap there to second and third, and then third's starting to pull away from fourth and so forth.
Yeah,
We're starting to see the field fan out a little bit, but there's still those battle packs going on at the moment.
That's it. You tend to get a little bit of a multi-pack forming up as Bruce Smith just makes a really good move on Riley Curtis down into the first corner. And he's a guy that I think we should just keep an eye on as he comes up, because Bruce Smith is a pretty quick hand and is one to get the best out of the car. He qualified a little bit further down than expected, so I do expect to see him climbing. Currently, the guy that's done the best job at the start is Ashley Lear, down in 13th place. He's made 8 positions so far. Really good start from Ashley there. What a bit unseen, but a really good start there from him.
Yeah, and Dave Douglas has looped the car around, unfortunately, so he's just pulled back onto the track. So hopefully he can pick up his marbles a bit and get going again.
Yes, hopefully we can get everything, not get on the marbles too much, and hopefully things will be okay there.
Yeah, there was about 5 of them there in a pack, so they all had to stop once he looped the car around in front of them.
And luckily they sort of avoided the contact a bit. You know, that sort of it's a hazard of these road courses. Is of course when somebody spins in front of you, you tend to be running not as close as the ovals per se, but you do tend to be pretty packed up, and a mistake in front of you can really cause issue. And what we might see a little bit later on is as cars start getting through traffic, that's always the most hazardous time, and that can really cause some problems. So we're just on the back of Matt Danson now with Ryan Shelton. A good little battle here. Shelton just keeping pace with Danson at the moment.
Probably using some of that slipstream as he's coming into the chicane here to his advantage.
And we think there's just been a little bit of contact on the wall somewhere. So yeah, so he's just pulling off a little bit just as they go through that chicane. Of course, you get the accordion effect as you're going through those chicanes, and that can change things up. But just catching as we go through there. But Shelton's car is just looking a little bit unstable at the moment as we go through that sort of first couple of corners, just losing a little bit of traction. And it's not the easiest set of corners to go through, very easy to mess up. And I think, unfortunately, we might have lost Riley Curtis. Car spun. He's got some serious front end damages and sitting in the pits at the moment. Not a great time for him. And Matthew Clure as well looks like he's had a bit of a moment, as well as Dave Douglas actually. A little bit of damage on his car. Okay, yeah, there was a big incident with Riley Curtis, so we'll just go back and look at the replay on that one. Oh, a huge crash. The 54 as well involved in that one of Matthew Clure, rolling the car as well. So huge incident there. That was a big one for those guys, and that might be the end of the night for Riley Curtis at least, and even Matthew Clure as well. Looks like Dave Douglas went in. Sorry, not Dave Douglas. Trying to figure out the car that was. Ashley Leah. Yeah, Ashley Leah went into Douglas there. Into Cluett. So
yeah, I'm just watching as she pulls off in the pits now because the front end of that car is very torn up.
And the 24 as well, I think. So Jake Maloney as well. Some really big damage on Jake Maloney as well. So that was a huge incident, and that's really taken a few fast guys out of this race quite early on. But always a shame.
Yeah, you never like to see anything like that.
No, luckily though, in the old iRacing world, it's a little bit less painful.
Yeah, you don't have to put up with the real life repercussions of broken arms or legs if they're really bad crashes like that roll there before.
Yes, which is one of the benefits of sim racing. I must admit, it's a little bit less painful when you crash, but the force feedback sometimes can really throw you off a bit. The force feedback on some of the controllers and wheels can really give you a workout on your arms.
Yeah, I myself have the direct drive wheel from HRS, and yeah, you got to be very careful when you hit a wall. Got to take your hands off it because you could break fingers, hands, and maybe even an arm if you got tangled up in it.
Yeah. So we're just with Bruce Smith at the moment on Joshua Carroll Walden, and of course Joshua Carroll Walden trying to get into the chase tonight as well. So big evening for him. He's going to want a good finish tonight, and he's doing a good job at the moment. He's ahead of most of the other guys in the chase, and yeah, he's going to want to get a good finish. And just glancing back, Jason Martin's had a bit of an incident as you go on lap number 6. He had a bit of an incident going on to the actual oval section, from turn number 9. And has hit the wall pretty heavily on the right front of his car. So a bit of damage to Jason Martin, which he will not be wanting. But there's a good little pack forming up with Bruce Smith, Edward Foster, and Darren McKenzie there with the Scooby-Doo liveried car. Edward Foster, of course, with the Legacy livery, of course, for the veterans returning, and obviously the veterans not returning, unfortunately, to help out their families, sporting that lovely paint scheme all season for that fantastic charity. But they're just holding on to the back of Bruce Smith, who is chasing down Joshua Carroll Walden.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting Scooby-Doo paint job he's got on.
it's definitely distinctive. It's one that you're not going to miss, which is nice. Luckily, a lot of our drivers have some very good paint schemes that make them stand out. I'm personally a big fan of Joshua Carroll Walden's the lovely fade into the blue, yellow, and orange that he has on his car. It's just distinctive paint scheme that he's had sort of pretty much all season. It just makes it nice and easy. Jason Martin's gone into the wall. Big incident for Jason Martin. He is dropping back. We'll just try and go back and see what happened to Jason Martin there, but he has just dropped back behind a heap of people there. Big incident for him. I'll just try and have a glance back, see what happened here for Jason Martin. But a disaster for him. He is going to be kicking himself for that one. He's obviously into the chase, but he's just spun it as he's going through turn number 4, I think it was. Just spun it and gone into the wall and hit that right front side. Not huge amounts of damage, but the car is pretty crumpled at the front. That's not going to help his evening. Yeah,
that'll affect the aerodynamics of the car.
Yeah, hopefully it's not caused too much damage to the suspension, because of course the aero package on the car is helpful at these places, but you don't want any damage to your drive arms or anything like that, because on a road course that can be hazardous, as we've got a good battle going on now with Bruce Smith right behind Joshua Carroll Walden. They are battling for position number 5 and 6 at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like Jason has has been having a lot of trouble with his cars handling over the last couple of laps. I was just looking back on.
Yes, and Jason, he's done good work on his road course performance this year. He has really been working hard on it. Of course, he's a bit of an oval specialist, Jason, but Bruce Smith just tagging the wall a little bit there, I think. He just caught the side, possibly, just lost a little bit of speed. Which has just lost Edward Foster in position. He just got caught up behind Bruce Smith and has just fallen behind Mackenzie now. Fantastic little battle going on here, though.
Yeah, the leader's just pulling away there, so starting to get a big gap. But we got some good mid-pack battles going on here.
Yes, which is what we want to see. Yeah, we got almost 4-second lead by Braden Boulos now, with Matt Danson behind him, and then 4 seconds back to Ryan Shelton. So those guys are, sorry, a second back to Ryan Shelton, not 4 seconds. A nice gap forming for Boulos, and pulling away from Skurlock, who's having a bit of a lonely race there in 4th place, sort of about 15 seconds ahead of Joshua Carroll Walden, but 10 seconds behind the leader. So he's sort of in a bit of a lonely spot at the moment in 4th.
Sometimes that's the best way to be, though, because you've got no one pushing you, no one to chase.
Without the pressure on, it can help. And sometimes, you know, there are a few drivers in the championship that don't get too many mentions, and that's because they have pretty unassuming races. As Bruce Smith gets a good drive off the exit onto the oval section now. Is he going to try and just come down on the inside through the chicane? He's looking for it. Under brakes, he goes down on the inside of Joshua Carroll Walden. Brilliant move. And Joshua Carroll Walden just having to brake a little bit heavier than he would have wanted to there, and that's just giving Darren Mackenzie the chance to get up on him as well. So Bruce Smith is now going to start chasing down Skurlock. Big gap between himself and Skurlock now, and he's going to want to try and get that gap up. As Darren Mackenzie tries under the brakes, goes into the back of Joshua Carroll Walden. Carroll Walden keeps the car. Fantastic drive for Carroll Walden. He just kept that car in really good shape. But that's let Edward Foster get down the inside, and he's down past the both of them. Great job for Foster. He's going to be pretty happy about that. He loses a little bit of traction going through the first corner, and that's allowing Carroll Walden to come back at him. Foster down on the inside, going through turn number 3 and 4. Carroll Walden on the outside, not the best place to be, and this could let Darren Mackenzie come through. He's just gone wide. Mackenzie and Martin now into the fight, with Jason Martin and Marco Dortnack now coming into this battle as well.
Yeah, so Foster got 2 for the price of 1 there, which is always good.
A very opportunist move there by Foster and Mackenzie as well, just giving Carroll Walden that little bit of a nudge going into the final chicane there, and that just set him off balance a little bit. It cost Mackenzie a position, so he's sort of He's not really gained a position, but he's not lost a position either. But it's really been costly for Carol Walden, who's dropped 2 spots. But Edward Foster's going to be grinning from ear to ear about that one, and he's going to want to try and get a little bit of a gap between these two now as well.
Yeah,
As Bruce Smith just absolutely pulling away from these guys. He is just absolutely putting the hammer to the car, pedal to the metal, and getting some fantastic lap times as well. Bruce Smith just cutting his way up towards Skurlock now, who's still got a decent lead over Smith, but he's going to be really wanting to try and close that gap up as Mackenzie spins. A big incident for Mackenzie, and Mirko Dortnack goes into the side of him. We'll try and go back and see exactly what happened there. So just going for the replay for that one. So Mackenzie's come into the first corner, and it looks like maybe connectivity issues, and he's just lost position and come up on the front of Carol Walden's bumper, spun around, and Mirko Dortnack was a bit of a sacrifice there and just went straight into the side of Mackenzie. So not going to be too happy for Mackenzie, I'm sure, but Foster's going to be glad that he's sort of pulling away a bit of a gap now. Joshua Carol Walden seems to not have too much front-end damage, which is a good sign indeed.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate. Wrong place, wrong time.
That's one of the things that can happen, of course. Connectivity issues are the mechanical issues of sim racing, of course. That's the best way you can put it, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
As Foster gets a bit of a bad exit, which allows Carol Walden to get a bit closed up, but he gets a lot of opposite lock, ends up lighting the rear tyres, and has allowed Foster just to pull away, and Mackenzie's dropped back behind Martin. And Bruce Smith has dropped back as well. Trying to figure out what happened to Bruce Smith there.
He had a spin going into the chicane.
He's just lost it in the chicane then.
Yeah.
And unfortunate for him, he was having a great run there. He's going to be kicking himself for that one. But he's basically just got to come back and get past Carol Walden and Martin again. So that battle is back on for those guys. But this is really helping out Skurlock. Just getting a nice gap on the rest of the field here.
That could be those tyres starting to go. We're just a slight mistake getting that ripple strip too much.
And it's very easy to do, unfortunately, and it's a momentary lapse of concentration. The intro video we had today with the with my terrible driving around this circuit, it took me a few attempts to get a good clean lap here because it is such a tricky track to drive. The lack of traction, the lack of grip out there is horrendous, and these off-camber corners with that slight rise can really throw you out, and it can really cause issues to the cars. It's not an easy track to drive, this one.
Yeah, that first rise after the first corners there, if there's a car spun there or something, you're coming through quick, you're not going to see them, so that can be a worry too.
Exactly, and of course it's also the pit exit there, and when you're coming out on cold tyres, again, something that was mentioned in that intro package was just the pit exit for our pole sitter, Braden Boulis, of course. It's just an awkward angle when you come out of there, and it can sometimes cause issues, and of course that little rise means that you're coming unsighted to the pit exit, and sometimes you'll get a car spinning across in front of you and can cause some serious issues.
Yeah, I've been watching Bruce here, and he looks like he may have used the best part of his tyres because he's sliding around a bit in the corners.
Yeah, really struggling for grip out there now, and Bruce Smith, of course, one of the quicker drivers. He's not here too often, but he usually puts up a good show and can really get some speed in there. A guy to watch out for as well is Josh Micklemore, starting right down at the back. He's slowly climbing up the field. He's now in 11th place, gaining 12 positions overall, and not something we didn't expect. We did expect Micklemore to start climbing the field, but a fantastic job from him.
Yeah, it always takes a lot to come from the back. Passing all those cars can be a task and a half.
And overtaking on this track is not the easiest thing to do as well. And there are a few spots, of course, into the chicanes that under braking you can get a good run on people, and it's not the hardest thing to do. Um, but it's just getting the traction as you exit, and that's usually where people suffer. We saw Carol Walden just getting a heap of opposite lock a few laps ago as he's behind Foster, and it's just getting your foot down here. Braking obviously is quite hard. It's very easy to lock a brake here, but it's just getting the acceleration done again. Very easy to light those tyres up, and then of course you wear out those rear tyres quicker with that.
Yeah, it's very easy to grab a little bit too much throttle and go straight around.
And we've got a good battle forming up now between Carol Walden, Martin and Bruce Smith as Bruce Smith starts catching them. Everybody's tyres are looking a little bit second-hand now for sure. I imagine people wish there would be safety cars for these road courses because they would love to have seen one right now and just change those tyres nice and quickly. But with the race not being halfway yet, with only 16 laps underhand, you can't really stop now because you won't be able to go to the end of the race. So don't expect to see people until about lap 20 as Jason Martin's just looking down the inside of Carol Walden, but it's just going to put him in the wrong spot as he comes out onto the oval section of the track. And looks like Bruce Smith might get a little bit of a run on him here, but these three are battling pretty hard.
Yeah, might try for an out-braking move if they get the draft here into the chicane.
And it's one of the strange things about the Roval, of course, because it is similar to Daytona, of course, half street track, half oval, is you do get that opportunity to draft. And these cars being in their high downforce setup means you punch a huge gap through the air as Jason Martin makes a bit of a mistake on the exit of the chicane and allows Bruce Smith to go down the inside of him. But the cars punch a huge gap through the air, and the drafting effect can be quite strong on this oval section at least.
Yeah, and we see some of those drivers grabbing too much that sausage curb there coming through that chicane.
Yeah, sausage curbs, everybody's least favourite thing in motorsport, I think, at the moment. Not popular things.
Mm.
And of course, that one famously being called the Turtle. Thank you to Matt Hunter, our producer, for informing me on that one.
Yeah, they can be dangerous. They're supposed to help, but they can also roll cars in the same type, getting caught on them. And we saw a Formula car just the other week get put in the wall in real life due to a sausage curb.
Yes, at Monza on the... I've completely forgotten the name of the turn now, which is terrible because I should know that one off the top of my head.
Is it Parabolica?
Yes, Parabolica, thank you very much. Yes, just went wide through the Parabolica and hit a sausage curb in the F3 race and flipped the car up. Luckily, the driver was saved by the halo device. I believe he actually did end up with a fracture to his back on that one, so not completely unscathed, but much better than if that halo wasn't there for sure. And Bruce Smith is right on the back of Carol Walden now. These two are giving us a great little battle for position. But it just looks like Bruce Smith just is lacking that bit of traction on the exit of corners, but on the braking, he's just that bit better under brakes. As Carol Walden just gets a huge amount of opposite lock going through that first corner, Bruce Smith just rubbing so close to the wall. I think he may have even just lost a wing mirror with that one. But it just absolutely... And, Bruce Smith just going over the curb, hits the top of the curb, loses the car, and this is going to allow Jason Martin to possibly get a position. But he's just recovered that extremely well. These guys are really struggling for grip out there.
Yeah, that was a big moment, especially with the track starting off with very low grip, and the new tyre model takes a bit to warm up now. So when you can chew through the tyres really quickly if you don't warm your tyres up correctly.
Yes, well, that's another big change we've had this season. Of course, we've had the change with real timing, of course, with the timing change throughout the day and clouds and things like that. But the tyre models, they've made a huge difference to the racing. And obviously, I mean, you do a lot more racing than me, so just explain a little bit on those tyre models, just how much of a change that's made this year.
Yeah, so road cars and oval cars got a new tyre model in the last build of iRacing, and it takes 2 to 3 laps to warm them up properly, which can kill a qualifying if you only got them 2 laps to put down for your best lap. I find it's very hard to get the tyres up to temperature without just destroying them, basically, for qualifying.
And it's just about getting the heat in the right spot. A good little battle out on track at the moment is Mirko Dortnak and Josh Micklemore down in 10th and 11th. Josh Micklemore is scything his way through the field. He's just got past Aaron Wilton as well. So 2 of the Illusion cars there just getting past. Well, 1 of the Illusion cars, sorry. And Foster's spun. Real shame. Foster's going to be kicking himself for that one. And he's dropped down to this battle between Dortnak, Micklemore, Wilton. He's actually dropped down behind Wilton, so that's lost him a lot of positions. He's now down in 12th place, I think. So a fair few spots lost for Foster there. Just spinning off through the midsection of the track, I think going into turns 4 and 5. Luckily, he seems to have gotten away without too much damage on the front of that car. I think that's a bit of a miracle on that one. Just a huge handful of opposite lock. He did go a bit heavily into the wall, but he seems to still have speed. But Micklemore is just making his way. He's just got the run on Dortnak now, and Dortnak's just got the sort of outside line, but that's just the best line to have as you go through this chicane for the start-finish line. But Micklemore is trying to get his way past. Wayne Taylor is also falling into the grips of this battle now in 8th place.
And while you were there talking about that battle, Bruce Smith made his pass, and he's putting a bit of a gap on the guys now.
Yeah, so it looks like Bruce Smith has got into a good place. And Dave Douglas has just run extremely wide. He's just gone for a trip across the infield. It looks like he's cut a few rose bushes while he's at it. But just being lapped by Bruce Smith and a few of those other guys. So just looking through the field now. Micklemore is still just behind Dortnak.
How lead did you spun, actually? There you go, so tyres are starting to go.
Bula spinning, that is a rare one. And is that allowed? No, yeah, he has built himself up enough gap to be in front of Danson still. So he managed to get away with that one unscathed. Good pickup there, thanks, John. But he's definitely lost some time, because he did have a huge lead on Danson on the beginning of this lap. He was about 7-8 seconds ahead of Danson, and now he's only around about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, that'll give Danson a bit more encouragement to get up there.
Yes, he is going to be pleased to see that. But knowing Danson, he will have wanted to make the move himself. Looks like a lapped car had a very near miss there as well as Boulos was going through. The 93 of Riley Curtis just managed to avoid Braden Boulos there. So good driving on his behalf. And Bruce Smith is just coming out the pit lane now. He's just pitted and is just coming out behind the leader now. So we're going to see the effect of these new tyres. It'll take a couple of corners to warm them up, but we should see Bruce Smith just gliding past Boulos, and this may trigger the first round of pit stops.
Yeah, well, we said about this time we'd start seeing the pit stops, so hopefully they've done all their calculations right and they can get home.
Yeah, I think the main concern is fuel, apparently. So, well, I mean, tyres obviously are not the best thing, but they can pretty much make halfway through tyres without too much trouble. It's just going to be the fuel is going to be the hard one, as Boulos just unlaps himself there. So Boulos just, you can just see the difference between the tyre speeds, and much faster. Danson is really closing in now. He's only 0.6 of a second behind the leader, so Matt Danson has got the bit between the teeth, and Danson is pitting now. Danson has gone into the pit lane now, so this could be a fantastic move for Danson, because he's just going to get that undercut on Boulos. Will he be able to get a good outlap and pip him to the post? And Ryan Shelton as well has come in for tyres.
Yeah, so that undercut's about 3 seconds there, so it'll be close and interesting to see.
Yes, well, if everybody's worked out their maths correctly, then Danson should have a lead of around 2.5 seconds once these pit stops start shaking out. But we're going to start seeing those pits now, and Bulis makes another little mistake, just going through the the mid sector of the track. That's not going to help him out. So Danson's just coming off pit lane now. Looks like it was a nice clean stop for him. And Bulis has stayed out, I think, for another lap.
Yeah, so I guess Bulis is trying to do the long haul and get his tyres out a bit longer and then use a newer set, while the other guys are starting to wear down on their old set.
That's always one of the things, is you can always go for you can try and get the overcut, they call it, and sort of go that way. But Bulis is pitting now. So yeah, he's in now. So it will be interesting to see how much time he's going to lose to Danson just coming in that one lap later.
I think that was a pretty smart call, because he was starting we already seen him spin once, so we don't, being a driver, that can get you frustrated, and then you start making more mistakes, especially on tyres that are really worn out.
Yes, and Danson is already coming up to just the start-finish line right now. Bulis is just pitting, so Danson is going to take that lead right now. Danson has passed for the lead. He's going into the first corner, so a lot of time lost for Bulis, and he comes out of the pit lane, and Matt Danson is going to be a good about 2 seconds ahead of him. So yes, the maths worked out pretty much perfectly there. 2.5 second lead for Matt Danson. He's going to be absolutely chuffed with that.
And Bulis is now got to wait for them tyres to come up to temperature before he can do too much, or else he'll just chew them to bits.
Yes, and there's not really much of a difference between them, so only 1 lap difference. So there's not going to be, he's not going to get a big advantage on those tyres come later in the race now. He's just got to try and be faster than Danson. But obviously, the last stint, he was faster than the rest of those guys, but he chewed through his tyres quicker than everybody else. So he's probably going to want to just slow down a little bit and try not to go too fast. But speaking about the first guy to stop, Bruce Smith, he's now in 5th place, so he's gained a couple of positions. He's got past Wayne Taylor and Joshua Carroll Walden, I think, at least Wayne Taylor. So with that pit strategy, it has worked out quite well for Bruce Smith.
Yeah, so that just shows you how much the undercut is here compared to staying out and trying to stay on those old dirty tyres.
Yeah, when they start wearing down, when you start wearing down to the carcass, they do not like it at all. And this track does not offer the best of grip at the best of times. But Bruce Smith has managed to shave off about 10 seconds to Michael Skurlock as well with that earlier stop. So he's going to be chasing down Skurlock for that 4th place. But will he be able to make it before the end of this race?
Yeah, the big question is, will his tyres fall off before he gets there?
So, just having a look through the field as it stands, we have Danson in the lead, Bulis in 2nd, 3rd place Ryan Shelton, 4th Michael Skurlock, 5th Bruce Smith, Wayne Taylor sits in 6th place. Good drive for Wayne Taylor tonight. He's made up a fair few positions. In 7th, sorry, my timing is just sorting itself out. Sorry, he's not there. Sorry, he's in 13th place. Sorry, my timing was just messed up there for a few seconds. Always fun. But Wayne Taylor having a pretty good race at the moment. Edward Foster's managed to climb his way back up to 9th place, so that earlier spin is sort of not too bad for him. Josh Micklemore, though, he's made some serious positions, as well as Ashley Lear, who we saw involved in that earlier crash. Ashley Lear, who is... he's got another pit stop to make, because I believe he made a pit stop a little bit earlier on. So his tyres are 8 laps old now. Joshua Carroll Walden as well is out.
Sorry, but is this just me, or is Bruce Smith back in the pits again? What is happening here?
Bruce Smith has come into the pits. It looks like he's jumped out. So problems for Bruce Smith, unfortunately. We've seen this in the past from Bruce Smith. A couple of times he's had to jump out mid-session through issues, and it looks like maybe those problems have hit again. So a real shame for Bruce Smith because he was having a good drive, and that is a very fast driver taken out of the top 10. But this is only going to help people like Carol Walden, Josh Micklemore, and Ashley Lear.
Yeah, anyone behind him will be happy to see that, but him himself will probably be frustrated and very annoyed.
Yeah, a real shame for Smith because it's happened a couple of times this season. Not sure exactly what the issue is, but he's had to jump out sort of mid-session and he's been having a good race. Shame there, but it gave us some good racing at least. Gave us some good things to talk about, as always. But Ashley Lear is having a good comeback at the moment. However, just looking at my timing and scoring, it looks like he's going to need to make another stop possibly. And a guy out there at the moment is Joshua Carroll Walden. It's showing me that he hasn't stopped for a while, so apparently he's still going to need to make one more stop from what I can see. Okay, okay, sorry, just an issue with my time in scoring there. So, yeah, Joshua Carroll Walden is fine, but Ashley Lear has done 10 laps on this stint, so he may be able to make it, but he might be struggling a bit quicker than some of these other guys. So, expect to see him falling into the grasp of Micklemore and Foster.
While you were talking there, one of our drivers in the back of the field, Stephen Williams, spun it and put it in the wall.
Oh, real shame for Stephen Williams there. He's also currently fighting for a chase position, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Stephen Williams is fighting for the chase still. He's relatively okay on points as it stands, so it shouldn't affect him too much, but he's going to want to try and get a good finishing position tonight. As I say, all these drivers are going to want to try and get into those 13 chase positions.
Yeah, and that's the difference between someone like myself who mainly runs ovals compared to someone who runs ovals and road. Josh has spun around Micklemore, and unfortunately for him.
Again, that is a big scalp. Josh Micklemore going around, and that's cost him a few positions. He's fallen way down to 11th place. It looks like Dave Douglas is running around with a bit of damage too. Dave Douglas missing most of the front of his car, and really struggling out there. He's really not able to get that car turning, so I don't think we're going to see Dave Douglas too much longer in this race, or he might be coming in for a bit of a long pit stop. But yeah, Josh Micklemore, did you see what happened there with him?
So he grabbed too much curb and it forced him to spin around, unfortunately.
You've got to be careful with those curbs. You can't be greedy. So back at the front, we've got Boulos catching on Danson at the moment. There's only 0.3 of a second between them. They are neck and neck at the moment. They're very close to each other. So we should be getting a good little battle for the lead very, very soon.
Yeah, so that undercut worked for Danson, but Boulos has caught back up to him now, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, and we've seen Boulos has had that pace all evening.
Yeah, just for anyone that doesn't know, these two guys are at the same team, so they're probably running very similar steps.
Yeah, they run together, they work well together. Very friendly with each other, but they do like to race, so don't expect them to hold the punches tonight.
No, you can be mates before the race and after the race, but during the race, you're racing.
It's not easy being friends during a race.
No, been there before.
And it looks like possibly an issue for Joshua Carroll Walden. I'm just going to go and have a little look back on that one. But we'll keep our attention on the front while we're there, because these two are very close at the moment.
Billis is just kind of lurking at the moment. He's not catching too much, but he's just there. And that could scare Danson into making a mistake. It's always nice to be in someone's mirrors and filling them.
Putting the pressure on is always more fun than having the pressure put on you. So yeah, Joshua Carroll Walden went round in just coming onto the oval section the last lap and lost a position to Ashley Lear, who is having a fantastic comeback. We saw him earlier on going into the side of I think it was Matthew Clowett at the beginning of the early stages of this race. So he's having a fantastic comeback, but are his tyres going to last? That's the big question for Ashley Lear. But Boulos is just coming up under brakes. He's just testing out Danson now. He's just putting on that pressure, just trying to work out where he's going to be faster than Danson, and just waiting to make that pounce, which could happen any lap now.
Yeah, he seems very strong on the brakes, but Danson seems to be able to get him coming out of the corners.
Yeah, he's very fast, and we've seen it before with Boulos. He is very quick on these tracks. And I'll just ask for our director just to jump on board with Boulos if we can, just to get a bit of a view from his point here as we come onto the oval section. He's right behind him. You can see how close these guys are getting. Boulos just getting a little bit of wheel spin as he's coming out onto the oval section there, just losing a couple of tenths. But of course now he's going to get sucked up behind Danson and allow him to just get a little bit closer. These two are actually coming up to lap Joshua Carroll Walden, so you can just see these two are just Ryan Shelton as well. Still, he's 15 seconds away from these two, but they've almost lapsed the entire field now.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know you're a good driver when you can lap most, if not the whole field.
Yes, it's something that you see a few times on ovals. You know, sometimes you can get lucky with that in some races, and if a safety car comes out in your favour. But on a road course, it's a little bit harder, as Danson just gets a bit worse drive coming through the turn number one, and that's just allowed Boulos just to close up that little bit more on him. And he's just going to be looking straight at the rainbow with a vegan on the back, and just wanting to get past that car. He's probably going to be sick of that paint scheme very soon.
Yeah, after so long you get sick of looking at the car in front of you and you just want to power on past it, but that can't always be the case.
No, Danson just positioning his car extremely well here. In those corners, he's just keeping it on the inside, keeping it to the middle of the track, and that's really what you want to do in a defensive drive like this. It's going to start costing him a little bit of speed. I imagine Shelton is going to start closing up on these two as they start driving a little bit more defensively. But you're going to want to see Danson's going to want to try and position his car so Boulos can't get past. Try and use these back markers as well. Of course, again, in stock car racing, you're not obliged to jump out of the way. There's no blue flags in NASCAR, so they don't have to make it easy for you. But of course, usually everybody's a little bit more gentlemanly on these road courses and don't put up too much of a fight.
Yeah, always try to get out of the way if I'm a lap car, so...
And, just there, we had a car on the inside, just going through the first turn, and it looks like Danson just had to make a slight adjustment for that one and lost a little bit of time, but Boulos was going to try and get underneath him and had to back off a little bit there as well. So, yeah, these two are racing very close, and it's so close to disaster here as well. It's so easy to make a mistake, or so easy for somebody else to make a mistake in front of you and you to get wrapped up in that accident.
Yeah, Boulos is pushing so hard he grabbed some of that inside wall coming out the first corner there.
Rubbing a wall is never a bad thing, if you rub it just the right way, of course. You don't want to rub it too hard, but, you know, just a little glance here and there can help with lap time sometimes.
Yeah, it always shows that you're pushing the limit, and if you're not pushing the limit, you're not going fast.
As drivers would say around Monaco, if you're not touching the wall, you're not driving fast enough. So yeah, really pushing out right here, and Ashley Lear is finally making that pit stop, staying out really long for Ashley Lear there. Good job by him. It's going to cost him a bit of time now, I think, but he did have a... Okay, looks like he's getting repairs done as well, or he might have... copped a penalty or something, because yeah, he's in there for a long time. That's a real shame for Ashley Lear. He's having a great race, but yeah, he is really dropping down the field now. So looks like Ashley Lear might be in a bit more trouble than we thought, and it looks like he might possibly be out of this race or waiting for a bit more repair to come in. It looks like we've lost a couple of drivers as well, and a few issues for some drivers. We've still got a few walking wounded out there. Dave Douglas and Edward Foster are sort of right down there in 18th and 19th place at the moment, sort of right at the back of the pack. Real shame for them, as well as Riley Curtis. Not a great day for the Riley Curtis design team. They're not having a fantastic night.
No, that's unfortunate. Danson's pulled away a little bit. We saw some very close contact there. They were getting really close to rubbing each other the wrong way, so I think they're just settling down a bit again.
Swapping a bit of paint here and there is it's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with trading a little bit of paint here and there. You know, it makes your car look a little bit more interesting. Boogalus just catching a bit more of the outside of turn number one, just into that wall a little bit heavy.
Yeah, might have brushed it the wrong way that time.
Yeah, he looked to have just caught it a little bit heavier than before. So pushing hard still, these guys, but you don't want to overdrive the car, and that's what can happen when you overdrive the car, is you start making mistakes. They're both pulling away though. They've made a bit of distance over Shelton, so they have managed to pull away despite the battle in between them. They have gapped Shelton a little bit. Michael Skurlock still sitting down there in 4th place. Extremely lonely night for Skurlock. Very good drive by him though. He's got some pace in that car, but he's not up there with those top 3.
No, and those little mistakes that Boulos is having could be also frustration from being stuck behind the Danson here and not being able to make the move that he wants to make.
That is one big thing as well. Psychology when racing and driving is a big thing, and when you get those mistakes and you really want to beat the person in front of you, you do get those little mistakes. You overdrive and they creep in, and those mistakes build up as well.
Yeah, I know. When I was a rookie driver, you make one mistake and then you try corner to make up for it, and it just ends up being garbage, and you end up in a wall or hurting your own race.
Yeah, speaking of in a wall, we just saw Dave Douglas the wrong way round there in turn number 1, I think, and he's not having the best night possible. I think we might be seeing Dave Douglas sort of slightly coming in for a bit of repair as Danson and Boulos go back to the fighting. Boulos has got the inside. He's tried his best to push up there, but Danson's just got the speed. Kept in front, crucially in front of Boulos there. He really closed the gap on him, made sure he could not get through. Fantastic defensive driving from Danson here, but Boulos is going to start pushing hard. This is where we get in that danger zone. You're racing hard, racing close to each other, and a mistake is so easy to make.
Yeah, well, we're just under 10 laps to go. So he'll be wanting to push and make that position now while he can and hopefully create a bit of a gap.
And of course, these stages of the race, the car starts getting lighter, it's got less fuel on board, the tracks rub it in a bit, so despite the fact that you start losing a bit of grip through the last section of these races, it's not as bad sometimes towards the end of the race, because that car is much lighter and there is a bit more rubber on the track. But you still got to be careful, because it is so easy to just lose the tail end of these things. They are very tail-happy cars.
Yeah, well, I think they're doing, 600 or 800 horsepower to the ground in a very lightweight aluminium chassis. So just to those rear wheels going around the corner, push the throttle a bit too hard, you're around in no time.
Yep. And if you miss a gear, if you sort of just change the gear in the wrong spot as well, the back end will just come and bite you. A guy just to mention as well, just sneaking his way up there and not really noticed him all night, is Nathan Tregaffin. He's up there in 6th place at the moment, just ahead of Wayne Taylor. Really good job there. He's made up 16 places tonight. So really good job by Nathan Tregaffin.
Yeah, that is really good. It's all, like I said earlier, it's always hard passing.
Sometimes just not making mistakes is the best way to do it, and it looks like he's had a pretty incident-free evening. As again, Boulos just trying his best to put pressure on Danson, trying to get past him as they come down to turns 3 and 4, and right nose to tail, these two, they are racing extremely close.
I think if Boulos is going to make a move, it'll be into the final chicane there, down the backstretch.
He does look a bit more confident under the brakes, and he almost went for it there. He just got that inside section a little bit, clipped a cone, and got a little bit of a run on Danson, but Danson shut that door, made sure he couldn't get past. Nice, fair driving there by Danson, just closing the door and saying no. But Boulos seems to be a little bit more confident on the later brakes than Danson. But is Danson just being a little bit gentler on the car, just not pushing it too much, just keeping those tyres with a little bit more to give?
Yeah, you think they'd be using most of what they got now, though, because we only got close to 5 laps to go.
We have. It's not much in it. And got a good battle as well down to 6th, 7th and 8th with Tregaffin, Taylor and Martin. There's a really good battle going on there, but it's hard to look away from the leaders at the moment because these two are pushing so hard with each other, really racing. And what we like to see, and we like to see Danson under pressure sometimes. It's you know, him and Martin sometimes have some not easy victories, but they do pull away a bit from the field sometimes. So it's nice to see it when they get some pressure put on.
We'll call them Lewis Hamilton victories, right?
Yes, exactly. You know, it's one of those things is sometimes when you have a victory with a fair margin on it, it makes it look easy, and it's not. It is not. There's a lot of skill involved in driving that close to each other. And when you do have a victory where you pull away, you sort of sometimes feel it was a little bit easy. But when you think back at it, it never is. There's no such thing as an easy victory. These guys put in the hours of practice that just let them have that speed, and they just have that little bit of extra pace here and there sometimes. But saying that, we've got some very close battles out there still.
Yeah, you can be the best driver of the night, but you got to also take into consideration there's other drivers out there that could wreck your race for you. I've had that happen to me a few times.
Yes, a bit like on the road, you know, you can be confident about yourself, but you've always got to watch out for other people, because, you know, it's not always yourself that's going to have the accident. Somebody can have an accident behind you. And as we've seen tonight, a few people have had some moments where their car stepped out and they've had those little accidents. Including Brandon Boulos himself, who looped it earlier on in the race, and that really has cost him, because that lost him that time that allowed Danson to close up and allowed him to jump him in the pit lane.
Yeah, he'd be kicking himself about that now. Just goes to show one little mistake can wreck your whole race. But it's not over at this point in time yet, so let's see what he's got.
No, we've got 5 laps to go, and 4 laps as they come across the line now. And it looks like Danson's got the speed at the moment. He's pulling away a little bit. He's managed to get about half a second between himself and Boulos, but Boulos is the accordion effect as they're going through the chicanes, of course, and he's making it nice and close to Danson. He just gives a kiss of the wall on the outside there, just coming through over the start-finish line. Nothing too big on that one, but he's really pushing hard. He gets a little bit of wheel spin as well coming through that first corner. Very close to these guys now.
Danson looks very strong through all this section, but then when he gets out on the speedy stuff, he gets a bit of a gap put on him.
Yeah, he's definitely got, it looks like he's just got that little bit better life on his tyres through this twisty section. But Boulos has just got some seriously good traction on the exit of the corners, and he might have it here. He's just on the inside of Danson as they come onto the oval section. He's going to drop in behind him, and this is about the closest he's been for a few laps. We could see him try duck down the inside or the outside even of the chicane. He's a bit of a later braker than Danson, and he's getting nice and close. I reckon he's going to line it up for the chicane at the start-finish line, try and get him there. But Danson's managed to get a little bit better traction through the exit of that chicane. So he's put a little bit more gap on him, but it's definitely not over between these guys.
Yeah, that 3-4, as we would call it in an oval race. He looks very strong dancing through there.
Seriously good driving going on here, and what we'd like to see, and Buehler's just trying to duck down the inside of turn number 2, and he's really pushing it. He's putting the pressure on Danson, making him look in the mirror, of course. And the thing that you can get suckered into in this sort of situation is driving in your mirror. You're glancing up to your mirror and not paying attention to the track in front of you. So easy to make a mistake, and Danson is just holding off on that pressure at the moment.
Yeah, I had to train myself not to be a rear view driver. I always used to look in the rear view way too much and get caught up in what's going on behind me and who's putting the pressure on me.
And that's why you put pressure on people, is because, you know, if they're not used to that, if they do get suckered into that driving with the rear view mirror up and looking backwards, they do make the mistakes in front of them. And Danson is a very cool head on very young shoulders still, which is another reason just to shake your fist at him. These damn kids, they're so fast these days. But he is definitely holding off on that pressure. We still have a pretty good battle as well, just down between Nathan Tregaffin and Jason Martin for 7th and 8th. Bit hard to look away to the sort of battles behind at the moment, but Martin Tregaffin and Aaron Wilton are all in a line at the moment, having a fantastic battle for 7th, 8th and 9th, with Wayne Taylor getting out in 6th place. Really good drive for him.
They're side by side, the leaders now, so we might have a good run here for Willis here, but Danson's pulled away a bit again.
Yes, Danson's struggling, and Buehler's has got the inside. He's trying to go down the outside. He's going to try and do the crisscross, but Danson's managed to position his car in a decent spot. But this has given Buehler the chance on the oval. He's got past down underneath Danson. Fantastic move for Buehler there. Just had that little bit more traction on the exit of that corner, and he's managed to get down on the inside of Danson.
Yeah, that looked way too easy in the end, didn't it? He just come off that corner, and I don't know if Danson didn't have traction or something went on there, but he went up to the top and Buehler went straight through.
Yeah, it looked like he was really struggling through that midsection there, Danson. That overtake started in around about sort of turn number sort of 6. That's where it really started. Danson just lost the position of his car, just didn't have it in the right spot, and started to struggle. And Buehler's just made him pay for that mistake and has got past him, and now is putting out a gap. Fantastic drive for Buehler there. He was just biding his time, and he made it pay off big time.
Yeah, Buehler has been looking very strong the last laps through that section, so he finally got it all done.
Brilliant drive. Buehler's coming back.
To go.
Yes, and one more lap to go. It's been a fantastic race here tonight. We've been treated to some great racing on the actual track, which is what we want to see. So Buehler's will be coming round onto the oval now, and he'll be getting the white flag soon. Just a little bit further back, with the battles behind, Jason Martin's managed to come out on top of the Aaron Wilton and Tregaffin battle. Tregaffin has dropped back to 9th place. Still a fantastic drive from him. He's managed to gain 13 positions since the start. Josh Micklemore is down in 11th, with Dwayne Priest in 10th as well. So some good drives there for some of the drivers that not always up at the top end of the field. So some really impressive drives tonight from those guys. Wayne Taylor as well is having a great drive tonight.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too. He's done quite well for himself tonight out there. Come all the way up to 6th.
6th place, and again, a quiet night for Wayne. Not really been too much focus on him at all, but he's just pulled his way up there. Ryan Shelton and Michael Skurlock are going to be wondering where all the other drivers are for this race. They've not really seen anybody for a few laps. There's about a 20-second gap between those two, and then another about a minute between Skurlock and Carol Walden, who has managed to come out on top of the earlier battles. Carol Walden in 5th place, another good drive from him. But Boulos is going to be coming around for the final time. He comes onto the oval. He's going to be going down to the first chicane now, and Danson is not close enough to make an attack. He's managed to pull a second away from Danson. A masterclass by Braden Boulos.
Yeah, he made a big gap there after he made an overtake. And don't know if Danson tyres just fell off there towards the end, or if there was just something else going on. But Boulos able to make that big gap in the end and win this race.
Yeah, a fantastic drive. I mean, it's not completely over yet. Danson does try his best. He loses it going into the final chicane. He tried for the latest break possible, but Boulos crosses the line, takes the win. Fantastic drive for Braden Boulos. Matt Danson, they're trying his best to get that position back in the final corner, but it would have taken a miracle similar to Jesus creating lots of fish from nowhere to stop that car in time, I think.
Yes, it would have taken Nelly Boulos to make a mistake.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of work to get that to happen. But everybody's sort of crossing the line now. Fantastic win for Braden Boulos. Matt Danson, I'm sure he's going to be disappointed about not winning, but he's going to be pretty happy about a good race there. As much as losing, it's never a fun thing when you get a great race like that where you're battling so close to each other. Sometimes you do get that little bit of a smile. And Michael Skurlock does finally cross the line in 4th place. So good drive from Skurlock there. Very quiet, as I said, but he did manage to get 4th place in the end. So let's run through the finishing order. We'll just wait for everything to completely go green on my timing screen. As Boulos and Danson come round side by side, doing a little bit of a victory parade, showing off the cars a little bit. They're going to be extremely happy with that one.
Yeah, like we said before, they're in a team together, so that'll be 1-2 for the team.
Okay, so John, I'll let you run through the finishing order if you like.
All right, I'll run through the top 3. We got Boulos, Matt Danson, Ryan Shelton. Would you like to do a couple?
Yes, I'll take over. So 4th onwards. So 4th place, Mick Skurlock. Joshua Carroll Walden managed 5th place. Wayne Taylor 6th. Aaron Wilton 7th. Nathan Tregaffin, brilliant drive from him. Started in 22nd, finished 8th place. Jason Martin managed to get 9th in the end. A little bit of an incident-filled race for him. He's not going to be too pleased about that, but still gets a decent finish. Again, road course is not his speciality, but he still has a good race on it, so he's not going to be too displeased about that, I'm sure. Dwayne Priest, again, a good drive from him, managing 10th place. And Josh Micklemore, 11th. Mirko Dortnack managed to get 12th. Stephen Williams, 13th. 14th was Tristan Koch. Nice race for him, very quiet evening. 15th was Riley Curtis. Edward Foster in 16th place. 17th was Michael Latterer. Dave Douglas did manage to finish in 18th place in the end, where he was missing about 90% of his car. Ashley Lear managed 19th place. 20th was Bruce Smith, unfortunately going out earlier on due to some sort of issue. Matthew Raymond, 21st. 22nd was Darren McKenzie. An early incident sort of took him out of the running. Jake Maloney, 23rd, and Matthew Cluett, again, early incident for him, taking him out of the race, and 24th place. So, that ended up being a decent. That ended up being a very decent race there to the finish of the race.
Yeah, very close battle towards the end there, but Boulos got the job done in the end, and just so everyone knows, outside the top 4, everyone was a lap down, so that's just how hard these guys were racing out there tonight.
Yeah, they put in a great show, didn't they? Like it's sometimes these road courses can produce lackluster racing. Not always the best tracks for racing, but we were treated to some fantastic drives out there and some great overtakes.
Yeah, very much.
So
With
just
some, and to go from an oval where you're sticking fourth gear the whole time around the whole thing to changing down through your gears in a stock car is quite a different experience. So it's good to see the guys were able to adapt to it and put on a good show tonight.
yes, and that's the other thing about these tracks. They are very physically demanding because there is always that gear changing. There is a lot of gear changing, of course, and you know the gear changing on these cars is not a fun thing to do. They're not always the easiest. So great drive from him. We're grabbing in our winner. I think he's finally up in the chat room. Just glancing through everybody up there.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about how you can lose the rear end easily, and that's due to all the transmission chatter if you're changing down and up those gears, mainly down, but you can get that coming up through a gear too, where you get a bit of chatter, and the car's not happy because you changed up too early.
Yeah, and changing, it's so easy just to miss a gear as well, and that can really screw your evening up. Um, and yeah, not what you want to happen, but it's. We'll just grab through our winner, Braden Billis. Braden Billis, Carl Wither here, Performance E Streaming. How you going?
I'm doing pretty good. As you can hear, my dog's really excited about that finish, so that's great.
I can imagine the fan club of the dog is cheering you on in the background. That is always good to hear. I imagine there was a bit of a cheer for joy from yourself with those few laps to go as you finally managed to get past Danson.
Yeah. Gotta admit, it was a lot tougher to pass than I thought it was going to be. Although, Matt short pits me, and then I just I don't know why I expected him to be easy to pass, but I guess in the end, got it done. That's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw you had a bit of a spin there earlier in the race. Did you feel that affected you towards the end with the undercut and everything?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, honestly, I gotta say, Truex is my favorite IRL driver, and I thought if he can spin and win, why not me? So I just went ahead and sent it off in there, turned it sideways. No, I'm kidding. I actually just lost it, which happens sometimes. But with about 5 to go, I just thought, well, might as well just send it.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose there. Sorry, Cole, you go.
Oh, no, sorry, Johnny. Just with the overtake on Danson, it looked like you sort of started to get the feel for that overtake coming through the midsection of the track. It kind of looked like you were a little bit happier on the sort of in that midfield section than Danson. Were you finding you had a bit better traction than him?
I would say so, yeah. It was tough because I wanted to pass him the whole time, obviously, but at the same time I didn't want to completely destroy my tires because then I just lose all chance. So, but he played it right. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong, per se. He every time we would come up onto the Roval, he would back me up just enough to where I could go nowhere. Once we got back on the oval and never had a run. So.
Yeah, some very good defensive driving. We saw that in effect there, sort of sitting mid corner and things like that. And yeah, it sort of looked good. Just on the tyres there, just in the earlier stages with that spin, was it possible you're just pushing a little bit too hard in the early stages and just took a bit too much out the tyres, or was it just a bit of a mistake?
I honestly, I feel like looking back on it, I just feel like I just had a lapse of concentration. I wasn't really focusing, but now it looks even cooler that I won, so I'm happy about it.
Well, you have a mid-race donut for celebration. You know, leading halfway through the race, you have to have a little bit of a celebrate. I'm sure.
Exactly. You gotta enjoy the little things like that.
Absolutely. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
You know what? I'll give a shout out to good old, because that was actually a really fun race. I had a lot of fun. I guess shout out to my mom and my brother, because I know that they're probably gonna watch this. So shout out to them. Um, that's about it, I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Braden. I'm sure we will see you at some stage again. You're going to be joining us over the Chase weekends.
Honestly, that's pretty much up to if I'm up and if Matt wants me to run. In which case, I will. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how you go in there. A bit of a wild card, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Brendan.
Yeah.
We will see you next time. Enjoy your celebration with your dog.
Thank you.
Braden Boulos there, the winner of the race. Might just grab up Joshua Carroll Walden next, just to have a chat to him about his 5th place finish. Joshua Carroll Walden, Carl Wither here, Performance E Streaming. How are you going?
Yeah, good. Yourself, Carl?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Very decent result for you tonight.
Yeah. Pretty happy with that, to be honest. I was coming into tonight just hoping for a top 10 in all honesty and to survive the first and second turn heading into the road, because that's basically a street track section with how close the walls are. But yeah, I'm very happy with the top 5 tonight.
Yeah, we saw you having some good battles out there tonight. I think you pretty much battled everybody from 5th down towards at some point in that race. A couple of little mistakes here and there, obviously. It looked very hard out there tonight.
Yeah, it was. A lot of bumps out there on the Roval section, and the fixed setup tonight just did not ride those bumps well at all. So I'd say, except for the top 4, the rest of us were totally on edge for the whole race. But no, that's what you want from the Roval racing, really. You want hard, tough racing, and you don't want to fall asleep because most people made mistakes tonight.
Yeah, there was some big scalps out there making mistakes. John, any questions for Joshua Carroll Walden?
So we saw those sausage curves, a few drivers getting caught out by them. How do you feel about them?
I played it the first 10 laps. I played it very cautiously. But actually, towards the end of the stint, towards the end of the race, I should say, I don't know if you guys saw saw me on the broadcast or on the replay cameras, but I was actually starting to abuse those curbs. Actually, I was getting very almost V8 Supercar Gold Coast style with them. I was really thrashing them about, and I was pretty confident. So that they're not nice on cold tires, but once you get the confidence, they're actually not that bad.
Yeah, we saw a few drivers throwing it over V8 Supercar style, but they can also, get the wrong bounce, and that ends your race.
Yeah, that's just one of the things. As I said, it's about confidence, and you have to control the way the car moves through the end. How much you can't go full throttle before the tires hit the deck. So it's just a bit of confidence and knowing how to abuse them, really. But no, I started having fun with them towards the end of the race.
Yeah, that all comes down to experience too, and that's why you came up and finished in 5th tonight. So congratulations on that. Good driving out there, mate.
Yep, thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, and it's been a pretty decent season for you. You've been sort of making your way up there and having some good races this year. You seem to be sort of getting a little bit more confidence at every race. How are you feeling now, sort of from the start of the season now to obviously sort of the close as we come into the chase? You definitely looks like you build up a bit more confidence out there.
Yeah. I have built up more confidence through the season, and also, I've gotten a better approach to these races. I'm much more calm, relaxed, and I'm better. I'm better at making strategy up on the fly, and I am a privateer. I'm not in a team. So winning as a privateer in ANZCAR is pretty much impossible. So like I just do what I can, make do, and yeah, like I've just really basically the main thing I'm doing right now is just I'm really enjoying my racing. Like I love oval racing, I love stock cars and road courses, and yeah, I'm just loving it. That's the main thing for me.
Well, with Talladega coming up next as we start the chase, it's always a bit of a lottery there. So you never know. You might get lucky and might get a privateer victory there.
Yeah, yeah. I've been very close. Usually I'm towards the front at Talladega, but because it is the first round of the chase, I don't think anyone knows what to expect really. Like it could be a complete wreck fest, tactical plays, maybe even one or two controversies through that. So I think Talladega, 100 laps. It's a very long race. The idea will be just keep your head down until like those final 20 laps. So yeah, I'll just do my own thing. I don't believe I'll be in the chase. I'll just do my own thing, see what happens, and yeah, if I've got any friends at the end of the race, then yeah, for sure, I'll always go for the victory.
Yeah. Just as you said that, you just missed out on the chase. I think you just finished. I think in 14th place. I think for the end of the season. So just missing out by a tiny bit, unfortunately. But it's been a good season for you. So congratulations on that one. So anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to you and Jonathan in the booth. Jonathan, hope you had a fun time commentating your first ANZCAR race. Shout out to Matt Hunter as well with the stream and the cameras. You do a fantastic job, mate. And yeah, shout out to Danny G, Edward, Roger for running a fantastic league.
Thanks so much, Joshua Carroll. And we will see you again, I'm sure, some stage in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, and last of all, we will grab up Matt Danson, the leader of the championship as we go into the chase. Matt Danson, Carl Wither here, Performance E streaming. Congratulations on getting the first place for the chase.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
So, you put on a good performance out there for us tonight. You and Boulos, of course. Obviously, I'm sure you would have preferred to finish one position higher, but how was the race for yourself?
Yeah, definitely, definitely wanted to win. The race was really good. I had an awesome battle with Braden. Obviously, like he had better long run speed. I think I was just wheel hopping the tires and killing myself a little bit with that. But my strat was, once I got the undercut on him, I kind of let myself back up to him, just save the tires a little bit, and then it was pretty much just a matter of trying to go as slow as possible in the the slow corners that led onto the straights. So just kind of back him up and then get good exits out of those corners to hold him off. And it was working fine until 2 to go. He just got that little bit of overlap in pretty much starting in like turn one or exit to turn one. He just got the overlap he needed, and I had to give him room at that point. And yeah, he's able to then get me all the way across the other side of the track on the as we rejoin the banking.
Yeah, you did give us a bit of a show class in defensive driving out there tonight. So you didn't make it easy for him, which is what we want to see. As I say, it's great seeing you win, but we like to see you having a bit of challenge now and again. But of course, the big thing for yourself is this, of course, is going to it's absolutely locked you into first place in the chase. So that is some good news for your championship chances.
Yeah, I think if I'm right, I think that gives me the free pass to the last race, does it?
It does, absolutely. So yeah, you're locked in. You as I say, you're a championship leader now. So with those drop rounds paying off for you, it's worked out well this season. Obviously you've had a good season. You're probably pretty much odds-on favourite for the chase now. With Talladega being the first race in the chase as well, it's sort of that being a bit of a lottery. I imagine that's made you feel a little bit safer knowing that you're going to get into the final section.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a massive wild card. So at least now I can go to Talladega, have some fun. You know, I don't have to be worried about any implications. I can go there, go 3 wide, and make some things happen. Yeah, I'd hate to be in the position of the other guys. You know, sort of any. I mean, you're completely at the mercy of whatever happens in front of you or around you. So, hopefully it's actually pretty straightforward. We get some nice 3 wide racing, and no dramas, and everyone can get through safely.
Well, it's what we hope for, because we want to see a nice close battle at the finish. Like that last race, we don't want to see it too easy for you guys. We don't want an easy victory. We want to make sure you work for it. Jono, any questions for Matt Danson tonight?
Hey Matt, so we saw Bren was a bit strong under braking, but you were strong on the exits. You were blocking him real well. In the end there though, was it just a bit of tyre wear you reckon that got the better of you?
Oh yeah, my tires were finished. I think I'd like to think that on a hot lap, my braking's not too bad. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it was kind of part of the strat was all about making sure that my braking zones, because it's really hard to overtake here, surprisingly. So pretty much, if I could just hold him up in the braking zone, just be solid, not make mistakes, and focus on getting the good exits, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah, and it worked for a while, but just 2 laps more, I think I needed.
Yeah, road course is all about that defensive driving sometimes when you got no tyres. Anything else you would like to say, Kyle?
Well, yeah, no, just anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight, Mr. Danson.
Shout out to you guys, obviously, for the commentary and the broadcast. I look forward to watching that later. Shout out to Braden, obviously teammates are the 1-2 there. He's got the better of me again, which is frustrating. But and obviously shout out to the whole Sitwin Crowder crew. So Ashton, the whole gang, Vegan Food Melbourne. Who else? Performance E-Streaming, ANZCAR. Yeah.
And don't forget the dancers as well.
Dances, yeah, exactly. Or I guess that's very Adelaide, isn't it? Dancers. We'll say dancers here, but yeah. So shout out to them for sticking through. Like I said, odds on favourite. That's big time. So hopefully I can go out and once Homestead rolls around, get the championship. In the meantime, pick up a couple more wins, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, and I'm sure we'll see you in the booth again over the next couple of races.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, boys.
Matt Danson there, second place finisher, but crucially the winner of this section of the championship and the points leader as we go into the chase. So that's going to clinch him basically allow him to get free pass to Homestead. So he's going to be able to get to that final race without having to worry too much. And it's going to be tricky now for the 12 other drivers in the chase. And of course, with Talladega coming up, it is a bit of a wild card race.
Yeah, you never like being down the field in the chase. It's always a scary place to be because, like Matt said there before, I believe it, Matt, that you can't control what's happening around you, so you can drive to the best of your ability and be the fastest guy out there, but someone else can wreck it all for you.
Wonderful. Okay, so we will finish up there for the evening. So a big thank you for Jono for joining me for the race and for joining Performance E-Stream for the commentary team. Big thank you as well to the plane that came in landing. Sorry, it's extremely hot here tonight and I had to keep a window open. And of course, a big thank you to Matt Hunter on the stream. We look forward to seeing you all at Talladega for the next race for the E53 Performance E-Streaming ANZCAR Series.